It was supposed to be just another routine flight, but what happened at 30,000 feet left the entire cabin in stunned silence. When a confident, well-dressed black doctor took his seat in first class, he didn't expect to be the target of an arrogant CEO's harsh judgment. The woman, dripping with entitlement, couldn't hide her disbelief and made a scene, questioning how he could afford such a seat. Passengers turned to watch as her condescending remarks grew louder, her words dripping with disrespect. But what she didn't know was who she was really speaking to, and what would happen next would leave everyone speechless. As tension filled the air, the doctor's calm and powerful response didn't just defend his dignity. It delivered a lesson no one on that plane would ever forget. Stay tuned to find out how a single moment of ignorance turned into an unforgettable lesson in respect. The cabin grew uncomfortably quiet as all eyes shifted between the CEO and the doctor. The woman, dressed in an expensive navy suit with an air of superiority, continued her tirade, assuming the doctor was out of place. Her voice, sharp and filled with arrogance, questioned not just his presence, but his worth. "Are you sure you're in the right seat?" she snapped, her tone dripping with disbelief. The doctor, calm and composed, simply glanced at his boarding pass. Then back at her, his expression steady. He wasn't just any passenger. He was a renowned surgeon, on his way to a medical conference where he was the keynote speaker. But instead of reacting with anger, he sat quietly, his silence more powerful than words. Passengers whispered among themselves, their discomfort growing. Some looked away, unsure whether to intervene, while others waited, sensing that something remarkable was about to unfold. The tension thickened as the CEO's remarks grew more cutting, her frustration fueled by the doctor's calm demeanor. She turned to the flight attendant, her voice loud enough for the entire cabin to hear. There must be some mistake. People like him don't belong in first class. The words hung in the air, heavy and uncomfortable. The flight attendant hesitated, glancing at the doctor, then back at the woman, clearly torn. Meanwhile, a businessman seated nearby shifted uncomfortably, exchanging glances with other passengers. Some looked down, avoiding eye contact, while a few whispered in disbelief. But no one spoke up, yet. The doctor remained composed, his silence more powerful than any argument. He wasn't just enduring the humiliation. He was observing, letting the situation expose itself. What the CEO didn't know was that her company had recently faced public backlash for discriminatory practices. Unbeknownst to her, one of her own employees was sitting just a few rows behind, quietly recording everything. Knowing this moment could change more than just the atmosphere on that flight. The atmosphere in the cabin grew colder, the CEO's sharp words echoing in the minds of the silent passengers. The doctor's steady gaze never wavered, his calmness unsettling her more than any heated response could have. The flight attendant, visibly uneasy, gently tried to diffuse the situation. "Ma'am, he has every right to be here. Please lower your voice." But the CEO scoffed, her pride refusing to back down. Meanwhile, the passenger recording the incident adjusted their phone discreetly, capturing every 10-second. Whispers rippled through the rows as people exchanged glances, some filled with outrage, others with disbelief. The businessman from earlier finally shifted forward, his jaw clenched as if debating whether to intervene. The doctor then slowly leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "Is there something you'd like to ask me directly?" The question hung in the air, challenging her without a hint of aggression. The CEO opened her mouth to respond, but before she could, a voice from the back of the plane cut through the tension, loud and clear. "That's enough." Every head turned, the moment teetering on the edge of eruption. The voice from the back belonged to an elderly woman, her presence commanding despite her frail frame. She slowly made her way down the aisle, gripping the seatbacks for support. The cabin grew even quieter, every eye tracking her determined steps. As she reached the row where the confrontation unfolded, she fixed the CEO with a sharp, knowing gaze. "I've seen people like you before," she said, her voice steady. "But what you don't realize is that respect isn't earned through money or titles. It's earned through character." The CEO's face flushed with anger, about to retaliate, when the plane suddenly jolted with turbulence. The fasten seatbelt sign blinked on, but the real shock came when the CEO began to choke, gasping for air, her arrogance collapsing into sheer panic. Passengers froze, except the doctor. Without hesitation, he sprang into action, his medical instincts overriding the tension. As he knelt beside her, the irony of the moment struck everyone. The very man she had belittled was now her only hope. The turbulence subsided, and the doctor's steady hands quickly took charge as he administered aid to the choking CEO. In that charged moment, the oppressive atmosphere shifted. The CEO's harsh, dismissive tone dissolved into gasps and the vulnerability of her struggle. As the doctor worked to help her breathe, the elderly woman spoke up again, her voice gentle yet firm, urging everyone to remember that dignity transcends social status. In an unexpected twist, the quiet passenger recording the incident pressed live on their device, and the entire exchange was streamed in real time over the airplane's intercom system. Shock rippled through the cabin as the world outside listened in. The CEO's image, once marked by arrogance, was now a symbol of human frailty and the transformative power of empathy. In that instant, the conflict resolved itself, leaving a powerful lesson in respect and accountability that resonated far beyond the flight. As the doctor stabilized the CEO, a palpable calm replaced the earlier tension. The elderly woman watched quietly, her gentle wisdom reminding everyone that true respect is earned through compassion rather than status. Soon the live stream caught the attention of authorities and news outlets, turning the incident into a powerful symbol of accountability and change. Passengers who once sat divided by class now exchanged supportive glances and heartfelt nods, each reflecting on the transformative power of empathy. The CEO, now recovering under medical care, was discreetly escorted off the plane, her previous arrogance replaced by a humbling awareness of her vulnerability. In the following days, interviews and reports celebrated the doctor's calm competence and the bravery of those who stood up for dignity. This unforgettable flight reminded everyone that every individual deserves respect, and that even in moments of conflict, humanity has the power to unite and inspire lasting change.